Hello everybody, it's Spooky and welcome back to another Stadium video. Today I want to talk about something that's been on mind for a really long time, and if you've been watching my videos or my streams, you know I've been talking about it quite a lot, and that is very specifically competitive Stadium. Or more specifically, the way that matchmaking works and how your rank reflects your actual skill level in Stadium competitive. And I never made a video dedicated solely to this topic because usually I'm reviewing a lot of things within Stadium, and it's just one of the facets that I kind of mention each time I either do my reviews or within my build videos. Something that I talk about is why it's so unfulfilling for competitive right now. And if you guys will just allow me a little bit of time to just rant about this for a little bit, I think it's important that I get these thoughts out there so you guys can also at least let me know what you think about it, or more so we can get a dialogue going so at least the developers know that there is some pushback on this, and hopefully we can see some changes that will hopefully make the game a little bit better for us. So let me start with what was kind of bugging me about Stadium competitive before Season 20, before the whole Challenger update thing, all of that stuff. Before Stadium competitive, the biggest thing for me was matchmaking. It was the fact that matches were extremely wide. They did feel extremely unbalanced a lot of the time, but also balanced like some other times. It really was hit or miss. And I will say that's not like too much different from normal watch. Like sometimes there are just unbalanced matches, you know, there's coin flip matches, things where once you load in, there's like, it's already been decided, like the match is out of your control. That happens probably about 50% of the time, I feel like, in normal Overwatch. The problem with Stadium is that I feel like it was like close to like 75% of my games were already decided before I no matter how much impact I make personally, this match was already decided. And that was 3 out of 4 of my matches were already like that. Now, for the most part, I was fine with overlooking that for the first 6, honestly 6 months, because the game, was getting its footing. There weren't I would assume the hero pool was smaller than the normal Overwatch hero pool by some degree. And they wanted to keep queue times down. And Stadium was really just about fun, when they first dropped it. It was just about this new mode that you got to get in. You get to try out a bunch of new items, try out different heroes and stuff like that, and customize them to your own gameplay. And it was just about having fun. And that's why I understood, matches were going to be all over the place. It's just like playing, maybe like quick play, where maybe the matchmaking is not perfect, but we're just loading up, having some fun. It's not going to be the perfectly balanced match because we want shorter queue times and we want to be able to play the game, with to some degree to where it feels like at least it's not like a complete stomp. In the beginning stages, that's basically what Stadium was. Just get in there, have some fun, test it out. We're going to figure it out as we go. Then came Season 2 and Season 3 of Stadium, and we started seeing more competitive. I myself started playing more competitive, obviously, and I loved the format for it. I love best of 7. I love that there's a competitive facet to it because the game itself was built, in my opinion, to be competitive. It's a thing where metas are going to take a little bit longer to figure out. It's also going to be, there's a lot more options to people to adapt, to figure out different solutions to problems that arise during the game. And I feel like the skill cap was just raised so much in Stadium from how much you can do as an individual player when you're in a competitive scenario. Now, the problem though is that those competitive matches were still not balanced. It felt like almost the same matchmaking as the normal quick play, and that's what was kind of starting. I don't want to say it annoy me, but I noticed it and I was like, okay, this is something that is going to need to change in the future. I was getting extremely wide matches. Now, if you guys don't know, I'm normally either Master, GM, top 500, whatever season you're looking at in Overwatch, where, because they move around ELOs so much, I'm normally right outside of top 500 and sometimes inside of top. So I'm not like the best of the best, but I'm up there. So for me to play, and I would say just about every single game I was getting in my competitive matches, people that were normally silver and gold in their normal competitive. Now you can make the case, maybe their Stadium rank was a little bit higher than what their normal watch rank was. And this is where I started to keep track of these things, is does your Stadium rank even really tell you much about your rank? And obviously when you just look at the system on its face value, everyone is constantly gaining rank. in Stadium, right? And that's what it was. The more you play, the higher you're going to be ranked. And it's a progressive system. We all saw it. We all knew it. I feel like a lot of us chose to ignore what, like, the truth that was just staring us in the face, is that our Stadium rank doesn't tell us anything about our rank. That's why anytime I was checking people's profiles, I immediately went to their ranked, like their normal ranked rank, like if they're silver, gold, plat, diamond, master, to get an idea of the players that I was playing with, because I knew Stadium rank just, it didn't matter. You know, when you have silver players in Legend right alongside the top 500 players, something's wrong, right? Because when you play Stadium, you know, Stadium's got its own facets, its own things that make you a better or worse player, right? And a lot of it's like knowledge about Stadium, picking the right powers, knowing the maps, knowing how to use these powers effectively and counter other people, and most of it's knowledge, you know. And I'm going to give 20% of your skill in Stadium is probably that. It's probably Stadium specific knowledge, but still, at its core, Stadium is still Overwatch. It's still positioning. It's still economy. It's still how to use your abilities appropriately and in what timings that you're going to use it in reaction to certain, you know, situations in the map that make you a better or worse player. That is about 80% of your rank, and that is not reflected in Stadium at all. Now, this is old news. I've talked about this for the past 3 seasons. This is all old news, right? I'm saying nothing new here. And if you don't know this, now you know. This is I can't further say this more than it's confirmed. I've confirmed it way too many times. Everything short of the developers literally coming out and saying exactly that's what's going on. In a lot of my videos, I talk about how we need to move to a more competitive system where the matches are a little bit more balanced, or at least you're playing people somewhat closer to your actual skill level in Stadium when you go into these matches. If you're grinding for these ranks, you need to be playing against people that are also at said ranks or around that rank, and that rank actually needs to take some skill to acquire as you go higher and higher and higher, right? What is the point of climbing a ladder if it's not reflecting your skill, your ability? What is the purpose of it if not to at least show that you are making progress as a player? And that's the thing that this rank system is stealing from us. It's the accurate feedback that we get as players to how our skill is adjusting the more we play. They are more than sugarcoating our rank. They're literally drenching it. And I had high hopes that, you know, as Stadium kept going, they would eventually move over to the competitive system that Normal Watch had, and where, you know, as you rank up, your skill reflects your rank. You know, if you're able to win more games, if you're able to beat people at your rank more consistently, you're going to move up to the next rank. Not just the more you play, the more you're going to rank up. That to me is literally the antithesis of what competitive is. Now, unfortunately, we didn't get that. I thought that with them introducing a top 500 leaderboard, it means they were going to shift to a more competitive format, right? Because if you have a leaderboard, that means you have to have some system that shows that people are gaining, losing rank, and a system that allows for skill to show that who's going to be at the top of the leaderboard, right? You have a leaderboard. Naturally, you're going to think, okay, well, the people that are going to be topping the leaderboard are going to be the best players in that mode. But the problem is, it's not. It's not at all, actually. Frankly, it's the leaderboard doesn't show that at all. And that's what I was scared of. I literally, for the past 2 seasons, was talking about how I really hope that they don't turn the competitive system, the top 500 leaderboard that they're talking about, into this. And lo and behold, even though as much as I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, begging them not to do this, they still do it. And I'm not going to sit here and act like, you know, devs need to bend to my will, or any player's will for that matter. But like they didn't even think, I swear, I feel like they didn't even think about how this was going to reflect the competitive scene. When I tell you this system is going to kill your competitive core, they're already seeing it. This is like a week and a half into it, and we're already seeing creators in Normal Watch talk about this, because that's the crazy thing. I didn't think they were, legitimately, I was like, okay, you know what? I hope they change it in Stadium, because this does not work. Obviously, this is not going to work. I hope they make it like the other, like Normal Watch. What I didn't have on my bingo card was that they were going to turn Normal Watch into the same system that Stadium had, which blew my mind when I saw that. They were going to make the top 500 leaderboard, the ranking system, the whole challenger score system, which is literally, I'm not even kidding, literally the Stadium system, before the whole top 500 thing rework and the whole challenger score, that was the stadium system. What you guys are seeing on like the top 500 leaderboard, I will admit this, to a lesser degree than stadium is right now, that is what stadium players have been dealing with. It has been rewarding your play time, not your skill level, your play time. All you have to do is have like a 35-40% plus win rate, and you're going to continue to climb. And the funny thing is, these matches are all based on your MMR. So let's say, for example, you're a gold player. They're going to take into account and they're going to balance you out with another gold player for your match. They're not going to balance, like, let's say you're all-star in stadium. They're not going to balance you with another all-star player. It's going to be your matchmaking rank. So it's going to be a number that shows what your skill level is, and they're going to balance you out with another person of that same skill level. So essentially, you are just playing games against, for lack of a better terms, yourself. And if you can win 40% of the time against yourself, you're going to climb in the ranks. And if it just takes a second to realize that isn't a manageable system to have an actual competitive, like a legitimate competitive experience in the game, without just artificially inflating everyone's rank, and that's something to me that I as a competitive player really bugs me, because I don't even know if I don't even know if I'm a legend player. If this was actually a competitive system, I don't know if I would be a legend player. I don't know if I would be an all-star player. I don't know if I would be a pro player. All I know is that if everyone keeps playing for as long as they want, everyone's going to hit legend. And we see it across the board. And I love, that's what I'm saying. I love you guys that are playing the game. You guys enjoy stadium as much as I do. It's a fantastic game mode. It's got so much potential. It like hurts me when I have to explain it to people, because I don't want them thinking that their experience is done. They've reached the top of stadium. I see people in my comments, and they're all using, I'm legend and this is my experience. I'm legend, this experience, for almost like validation that they have reached the top of stadium. Therefore, their opinion is that of the highest tier player. And that's where I'm like, I'm trying not to get too high and mighty about this, because even though I'm like a master GM player in normal watch, I don't know what rank I am in stadium. So even I can't speak from hey, I'm legend in this and blah, 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 blah. The only thing I can speak from my experience is what I was before in Overwatch and how that relates to the experience now. And I know I might sound like I'm ranting right now, but I'm really frustrated with the devs right now, because Stadium has so much potential to be such a really good game mode. And the fact that they actually introduced the system into their core Overwatch is making me so sad, because that means Stadium is even further away from getting a legitimate competitive experience and actually letting players fight to see who is the best players in the game mode. And that is what they have robbed us of. We do not get to fight. We do not get to see who is the best players in that mode. Take a look at maybe their builds, take a look at their play styles, have them as a sense of authority, so we can actually figure out what this mode is about. We want to be able to siphon out the frauds from the legitimate players. And that is the problem right now, is that we can't. You go, I encourage you, go to the Stadium Top 500 leaderboard, go and check everybody's profiles out that's on the top 500 leaderboard. Some might be legend, some might not be legend, some might be normally master GM champion players in normal watch. Some people on that leaderboard are going to be silver, they're going to be gold, and wouldn't shock me if there was a bronze player on there. And I'm not hating on my medal ranks. I love my medal ranks players. They are some of the hardest working, most positive people out there, and I love it. But again, in a competitive system, you need to be rewarded for your ability to win games. You need to be rewarded for defeating the person on the other team that's supposed to be at your rank, right? If you defeat somebody that's at your quote unquote skill level, you should get rewarded by that by inching a little bit above them at that point. That is how the competitive systems work in a nutshell, right? They're a lot more complex than that. But I am getting real tired of Stadium matching me with a extremely wide skill match in my competitive matches, right? If you want to go quick play, I'll play quick play, and I have no complaints about that. It's whatever. But if I am doing competitive Stadium, I need to have a competitive experience. I don't just want to play quick play and then have a fake rank shoved in my face and shown me that I'm scaling up in my rank as I just naturally play games. Even though, maybe my win rates, I think right now is like 59%. It's a 59% win rate. Hooray, That means I'm going to be progressing a little bit slower than somebody that has a 72% plus win rate. I'm looking at you Freya players, by the way. But you know what? If somebody plays a hero that's absolutely disgustingly broken right now and they are winning 72+% of the games, they should be ranking faster than I should. They should be higher ranked than I should. As much as it annoys me to play against Freya, that is the state of the game right now. And I should be able to see that reflected on the leaderboard, that a hero that is kind of broken for high skilled players should be dominating the leaderboard right now. But what I see is people that play a lot of the game are on the leaderboard right now. I see Junkrat players. I see Mei players. I see Lucio players. I see Cassidy. I see Ashe. I see whatever other DPS. I see I'm not even kidding. I see a Sojourn player on there, and Sojourn is really trash right now. I'm not even kidding. So that's what I'm saying. It's like this is the experience that we're in right now. It's extremely confusing. It's not rewarding at all. And this is going to get me to my final point, that I don't feel the need to play competitive anymore. It's starting to get to the point where I don't have the energy to do it, because I think deep down, even though I want to win the game, deep down I'm like, what's the point? If I just play 10 matches and not even try my hardest, I'm going to rank up anyways. What is the reason for me to try really hard right now, other than to just save me a little bit of time? When I know inevitably I'm going to get there anyways, that just means, hey, people that have a lot more time to play Stadium are going to be ranked higher than you. And you as a player should be extremely upset about that. Just because somebody can play the game for 8 hours a day, and I'm talking about me as a content creator, I get to play this game for 8 hours plus 8 hours a day if I want to. That should not mean that I get to rank higher than somebody that is better than me in Stadium just because I can play more hours out of the day. And that is exactly the system we're looking at right now. If I can play 8 hours a day, I'm going to be in the top 50 players. And for somebody that wants to give you guys the best information, that wants to come from a position of authority that says, hey guys, I am at this rank, so these are the builds that work for me, these are the strategies that work for me, so you guys can use it. It frustrates me that I don't get to say that to you guys. I don't get to at least get that feedback for myself. And it sometimes makes me feel like I'm giving you guys bad information. All I know is that I was higher ranked in normal Overwatch, and now in Stadium, that's all I can work with. I would love to know, hey guys, I got to this rank using this build, so you guys can, I know for a fact you guys can use this build and it does work. And the problem is with a lot of Stadium right now is a lot of it, we are just going off of vibes, and that really is sad for a competitive system. We don't have any kind of data to back up what builds work, what builds don't work. I am going off vibes. I'm going off things that I feel like I'm getting value on, game to game, things that I feel like are working. And unfortunately, that's the best I can go off of. And that's, as a content creator and somebody that wants to give the best information to you guys, that is extremely frustrating for me. And it's making it really hard to it's making it harder and harder for me to want to find the best build, because I don't have the direct feedback to know what builds are the best right now. Anyways, I want to end this somewhat on a positive note, but I really want to hammer on the points that I made here. First off, I love Stadium. I love the game mode. It is fun. It's fast. It's exciting. I love that there's a new chance every single round for a team to take a breath, figure out what's going on, and adjust their strategies. It's something you don't really get to do in normal Overwatch very much. And that's kind of the reason I love Stadium so much, is the flexibility, the options, the creativity that comes with the game mode that you just don't get in normal role queue Overwatch. It's such a rigid and in my opinion, a very two-dimensional game mode, is that there's certain strategies, you got to do these strategies or else you lose. Stadium is much more flexible than that, and that's what I love about it, is that it brings in a lot of different players, and the moat has so much potential. And I hate to sound like a broken record, because I've said this in like 5+ videos now. The future of Stadium, if this is coming, this is my opinion, all right? So I'm gonna give you guys that. This is my opinion. The future of Stadium, all right, if you want this game mode to grow and to become more legitimate and bring in players, needs to be fun. And you guys are doing that. Great, man. You're working on the fun aspect. Awesome, man. It is fun. It's a lot of fun. You need to make sure that there is a system in place for when people get better at the game, they start to get rewarded more for performing better. And right now, that is not Stadium. That is not it. I know you guys want to transition players from casual players to more hardcore competitive players. Those competitive players get a lot of hours. They spend more on skins, yada, yada, yada. That's what we need. we need a transition. And the problem is right now it's fun. They're trying to have their cake and eat it too right now. They're trying to have the casual base also make it fun, and also basically just throw a stick saying, hey, guess what? Your rank's going up. See? There you go. There's a little bar. Rank goes up. Are you happy now? And thinking that we're just going to accept that and be happy with it. And that's the problem, is that worked for a little bit, but now like it's rising to the surface. And I love that I don't love it, but I love that the normal Overwatch players reacted so strongly to this system that they just implemented with the challenger system for top 500, because that is Stadium. And for me, it's just extremely what's the word? Validating, because this is something that has really given me a tough time. That has, I don't want to say upsetting me, but it's been my primary point of what needs to change with Stadium. And it's just good to hear that we have some other, voices of authority that are talking about this, because this is exactly what needs. This is the problem with Stadium. This is, whether you guys know it or not, this is what is going to kill Stadium off. Eventually, people are going to get bored with just playing the game just to win the game. Overwatch is a competitive game. There needs to be a legitimate competitive system in place. And I know there's a way to balance it. In this challenger system right now is not it. And I'm going to be real. The way that they worded the challenger system, I recommend you guys go take a look and read it for yourselves, because I don't want to just read it from my perspective. I think it was a director's take. One of the articles that where they dropped about talking about the challenger system, just go read it and tell me that system is not. They're basically just saying, hey, just play the game more often and you will rank up. That is the closest thing I've gotten to them literally just admitting that they are dumbing down the competitive system and absolutely just being okay with murdering it into the ground. And that is not okay. I'm sorry. It's not okay. I love Overwatch. I want this game to be successful. I want it to become better. I want it to become something that people can enjoy more, and we can continue working on as a community to make this the best that it possibly can. And to see them just say that outright blatantly, which again is great to see that we can peek behind the curtain a little bit. Not that I was, doubting it for a second, but now they're okay with just saying it out in the open. And that is the problem now, is that they're basically telling us this is our goal right now, is to make it into this system. And I'm sorry, this is not the way to do it. It's not. And I try to leave it open for my opinion, but I'm gonna tell you, this isn't it. this isn't it. I'm rarely, I don't want to sound, full of myself. I am rarely wrong about Overwatch changes and how it's going to affect the game, because I've been playing the game for too long. Like, legitimately, I've been playing it for too long. And anybody that's in my community or watches my streams knows that I call this stuff way before it happens. And it's not something I even want to gloat about. It's something that's actually kind of annoying, is that I see the problem that's going to happen, and then it happens, and then it takes months to fix. And everyone, including myself, but you guys have to deal with it. You guys have to deal with the issues that come from this when you can see them from a mile away. And all it would take is a little bit of communication between the developers and the players, people that play the game and people that make the game. And it's not saying they need to listen to everything that players say. I agree. Devs know more than we do about how to balance a game and like that. But to say that people that play this game, probably, hours and hours and hours a day, we actually play the game. You guys are working on the game. Even though I know there's playtesting going on, we're legitimately in the game. We are the players. And for not to even listen to any of that feedback sometimes is really frustrating. And I know they listen to feedback sometimes. A lot of times, especially Stadium team has been doing great with it. The problem is right now, this is the most glaring issue, and it's been glaring for about 4 seasons now. And it's not something I can just kind of glaze over anymore. It's not something I'd be like, man, I hope they really fix this. Stadium team, you need to fix this. You need to do this, or your that game mode is going to die. And I'm tired of being nice about it. Like, legitimately, this needs to be fixed. There's a way to balance this out where you can have a casual experience in that competitive that slowly morphs into a more competitive, legitimate stadium experience. That needs to happen, and it needs to happen soon, or people are going to start leaving this game. I don't want to leave Stadium. I love the game mode, but if I am not going to have a legitimate competitive experience, me as a competitive player is going to move on to something else that is going to give me that. That is the simple truth of what it is. Eventually, I'm going to need that. Like that's a need. I'm a competitive player. That is something I need. And there's a lot of Overwatch players out there that are the same as me. Overwatch has always been a competitive game. And if you want to ignore that audience to try to foster a more casual experience, that is fine. But I don't think Stadium's going to become what you want it to become. And I don't think Overwatch is going to become what you want it to become by moving that same system over to core Overwatch. I still have high hopes for the future. The developers, especially for Stadium, have been doing a fantastic job with the game mode. And I know that there's some hope for the game to get back on track and make this game what it really, truly could become. Anyways, please let me know what you think in the comments. I would love to get a dialogue going. Obviously, everything I've said during this video is my opinion, and there's going to be people that disagree with me. There's going to be people that agree with me. What we really need to get down to is working together on this to get something that works for everybody. And especially when, you know, if we're hearing that 95%, I haven't heard of anybody really saying anything good about the Challenger system. And I don't see anything good about it in the way that they presented it to us. I'm hoping I'm wrong. But again, rarely am. Anyways, hope this video wasn't too negative for you guys. I know I like to keep it positive normally, but this is a really important issue for this game mode. If you care about Stadium at all, then this is a really important issue because this could be the make or break for the game mode and even the game. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace.